bigger than a building. It's just like, I think that was the only good thing about the movie 2012, was where they're going to the plane of like the Russian billionaire, and the kid's like, that's a big, wow, that's a big plane. And the dude just turns around, he's like, it's Russian. It's like, ooh. The rest of that movie, absolute crap. That one line was great because it was very, very true.
We're also seeing, kind of just bringing things back into Russia here. Cyclops Athlete Gaming. Tyro's going to remain onto the roster for the time being, kind of expected in a way. He does have, so far from what we've seen, the Sombra, where we did expect to maybe, both teams are kind of teasing it. Yeah. No team really wants to just get in there. And it's Yom1 versus Depp again in the Widow battle as well.
CAG is sticking to this double sniper as well, which is kind of interesting. We were anticipating seeing a bit less of this, and we have actually seen less of this on the whole, but still seeing a little bit of here or there. And Teo's Hanzo is very good.
Oh, yeah, good enough to take down Assassin almost straight away there. I mean, this does come in, but yeah, this right, you can see Cyclops Athlete Gaming, they just have good area control.
Teo's just thinking, good, now I can kill him again. The deflector's there.
Anyone else could at this rate. You just need to see EXL kind of get this dive in, because they are running a pseudo-dive composition. You need to see Assassin really get this Dragon Blade off and really get this Genji into effect.
Both teams are just kind of just sounding each other out. No, not even really brawling, just love taps for the time being until one of them can maybe get a pick, maybe get the upper hand.
Nano Boost is available, so expect it maybe onto Melon here, and that should enable EXL to get a dive in. The issue is they spend a minute not really getting ground currently.
It makes the angle of the dive even harder. Now that they've got the Nano Boost though, you see them wrapping around this far side to get some high ground, and it's looking like they're setting up now for their attack.
We'll get spotted in for sight immediately. There's got to be a Nano Blade.
Yeah, straight out. They had that blade part crucially taking out
Kale. Wow.
And second swipe gets Claire, who had that Valkyrie running. Now Assassin, living up to his namesake, goes Hunter Killer on depth between him and Yom1. They're able to finish him off. No sweat. Sabagod as well down. Knows better than to commit a Transcendence here. And EXL, they took their time setting that one up, but once they hit the go button, very effective and will cap point A.
That was nearly 2 minutes there. The issue here for EXL now is they won't be able to get a snowball onto point B because CAG have enough ultimates, you'd think, to be able to stop with. Importantly, they have a Transcendence, and importantly, the Primal Rage is going to be a decent stalling tool. The issue is you didn't quite get to see CAG use these to defend A. You like to think if they had the ultimates in time, the Nano Blade wouldn't have been as effective, but Assassin, look, was just way too good.
How many times have I heard that? Technically only once, but it's been true a lot of times. Yom1 as well, how good is he getting the headshot onto Teo? This opens a bit of a hole in the defense of CAG. Depp getting pressured out there by the dive. And even as they raise Teo, EXL start putting on the pressure. Self-destruct now out of Ken Mohororo.
Effective.
I was going to say, to force people back, but no, it's just going to straight up kill the supports. Gebushi arguably does the same, but he can't get Sabagod in the middle of that Transcendence, and EXL, I mean, it's all over, but they're crying, right? It's unfortunate that they threw that extra ult into the mix, but Cyclops Athlete Gaming will hold.
They managed to save some of these important ultimates here for EXL as well. Notably the Nano Blade combo back alive, back available. Yom1 just kind of resetting his hero here, going to go into the Brigida for the next push. And for EXL, they could get a decent amount of progress onto this one, because for CAG, don't quite have the defensive ultimates just yet to block it.
Yeah, this Nano Blade could be as effective as it was on point A. In fact, I anticipate that it will be. Saving grace is that Ken Mohororo, coming up on a self-destruct, could just zone out these members, but it's not got it in time. Now Assassin goes diving in onto Claire, will find him. Teo as well going down in the dive from the rest of the tanks. That's all they get out of it though. Now we need to see if CAG can start to stabilize, because they're still hemorrhaging members at this point. EXL nicely set up on the point now, nearly a third coming over. That respawn advantage is a very real factor, but also another change on this patch is those respawn timers are now longer now that EXL have control of the point.
It's taking Cyclops Athlete Gaming a long time to get back on the point because of that, but also they're not getting enough counter trades. Samurai finally has a Primal Rage. Maybe now we'll have some expected stall.
Yeah, Depp also displacing some members. Even as he goes down, he drew Gebushi away from the fight, and he's given Samurai and the rest of the team space to fight on the point. Self-destruct on Gebushi though. Doesn't get anything, but they're still getting the upper hand in terms of the kills. Again, the responses aren't actually there from CAG. They're lacking in a little bit of damage. Sabagod is going to need to commit a Transcendence here, and this is extra progress on the point now. They need to keep boots on the ground. Finally beating back the tide. Assassin with this blade, if it had been just a few seconds earlier, could have closed out the fight. Instead, it's an overcommitment, and EXL will finally get pushed back.
At 96.7%, that the damage is more than done from EXL. We expected some progress to come through. That's enough progress that they nearly actually fully capped out. CAG, you did start to feel that the reinforcements were being a little bit too overwhelming for EXL to be able to overcome. But again, 3 minutes and 11 seconds with 96.7 already on the board, 2 ticks to work with. It's certainly a capable scenario.
Now CAG having to make some compositional changes. A little behind in the ultimate game as they go charging in for this next fight. EXL not going to waste any time, not going to give CAG any time. And the one that they did have absolutely pays dividends. They're going to be just fine on this defense, and this is so key for CAG. Gives them time to rotate into the rest of their ultimates.
Which is important because they had some compositional swaps, not quite on the level of EXL for themselves, still waiting for ultimates, so that penultimate fight is still not quite here yet with both teams. Will have a lot of ultimates to play with, and it will be a slugfest. EXL now going to wait even longer because more members, 3 of them in fact, going to be changing up.
I mean, it's a smart read to change up, and they've arguably got just enough time that they can afford it. But now CAG, yeah, they're going to, I mean, that's really big. That's giving up ultimates so that they can outplay EXL's team comp.
And it's fine because EXL are giving up the same ultimates, in fact more. So for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, it's not a net loss, it's just neutral. It's evening things up against EXL.
They can now pressure Yon one more directly thanks to Depth. Teo now actually going over instead onto a Tracer. Well, that was a decent sleep onto Samurai. It leaves him away from the fight, and that's big. He has a Primal Rage that they want to commit. Chloe gets pressured out, though, and they already lost Zero, where even though he got the Nano Boost off, what they really need out of that is the healing, and the rest just fall down with no one to top their health bars off.
That's 3 kills for Kale Hororo. This time doesn't even need the self-destruct. When he has had the self-destruct, it's been 2 kills pretty much every single time. This man's been doing a lot of work, and it's needed because Depp's been shut down by Assassin on multiple fronts. Every time Depp wants to get in position to snipe, Assassin is there waiting for him, and that's important for EXL. But because that's happening, they can't get past Kale Hororo, which is a brand new problem to the equation.
CAG starting to cycle into some ultimates once again. So that little bit of sacrifice they made with the compositional change now not hurting them at all. Already 0 are picked on the counter dive from CAG. EXL now just less than a minute, and again losing both of their supports so early. This fight is as good as over, and it didn't even really start.
Because it's so one-sided, EXL not even forcing ultimates out of Cyclops Athlete Gaming right now.
Just banking up more.
Alive, nearly 6 even if Claire and Depp can get these as well. EXL been waiting, they've been trying to bank themselves, but they've also been just losing so quickly. They don't have an opportunity to get their charges up. They're about to have 1 attempt remaining. 30 seconds, you don't get another fight.
Zero's given up on playing an Ana here, realized he's not going to get a Nano Boost quickly enough to make the Nano Blade combo happen. They'd rather have the Zenyatta.
Right now, though, I do also want to say Ana has a lot of playmaking ability, but if Zero is confident onto the Zen, I think some of those right clicks, some of those 5 balls, certainly effective as well. He needs it right now.
They've got eyes on Assassin. Oh, Teo! Double pulse bomb. And again, it feels like this fight is over before it even begins. That's to say nothing of the self-destruct that Kenma Hororo can pull out. The Transcendence from Sabagod.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't even need it to counter out the blade. Assassin doesn't even get to pull the blade out. Sabagod finally goes down. What a power play right there to not even commit the Transcendence when it would have saved his life, because he doesn't need to. They've already got the fight.
Kale Hororo does get a self-destruct kill as well. Gable, she's not going to be here to extend things over, and for EXL, it's just a blade, but where is Assassin?
Yeah, they're just not close enough to the point. The last members that could have contested it, too far away. The tanks didn't last long enough for Assassin. So unfortunate that he didn't get to pull out that blade. But you've really got to commend that defense from CAG to pull it back. You see there at 96.8% it was initially. And then for EXL to get nothing beyond that, that is a hell of a defense.
Also a hell of an attack when you put things into perspective, because it now also means that Cyclops Athlete Gaming on their own offense needs to pretty much cap out the entire map. It's that close. They might not have to go to time bank here, but to get basically 96.7. It's as good as getting 100, and that means they still have to have a very well-coordinated attack onto B, which is going to be a difficult thing to do for any team.
I mean, exactly. They could just get held in the same way that they held EXL. That being said, you can argue the other perspective of that is all that CAG need to do is cap out. At 96.7%, it's as good as 100, except when you consider time back, except when you consider EXL getting a second chance in that regard. And if CAG do cap out, they take it to match point.
That's the thing. There's a lot riding on this one map right now. The momentum going into map 4 Escort will be very big for the team that does take down Volskaya. And for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, the goal is quite clear, and you'll have to see what the momentum is like when they move from A into B. That is the most important push for an attacking team. That's when you get the most progress initially. If it's not a good push, you're in a little bit of trouble. If it's a great push, you might just win there.
Setting up on this defense, EXL are going to pull out that Sombra. We considered it, we somewhat predicted it, so it does seem that this is something they have prepared, so we're going to have to see how CAG reacts to it.
The good news is EXL do want to run a dive here mostly. And to get a good dive, to get a good setup, you need information about where the attackers are going to come from, which is what Yom1's going to be able to give to his team. Infinite invisibility. He can choose where he wants to strike from himself as well.
Double sniper out from CAG. They're committing to this one.
Oh, headshot.
Yeah. There's a wealth of options here for things that they can kill. Oh, Yum1's detected. He knows better than to try and take that one. Just has to pull back to his team for the time being.
This is given now Cyclops Athlete Gaming time and space to work with. Yom1's on the hunt again.
Looks for Dep, doesn't find him, and meanwhile on the front side, Teo catches Zero and Ken Mohoroa and Samuraida. The core of this dive, just destroy what is standing on the point. Doesn't matter how much information you have about the team from that Sombra if it's not doing damage and if the rest of your team is dying in the fight.
That was a very quick and early cap, much quicker than EXL, who got it around the 2-minute mark. This is around the 3-minute mark. I want to say that initial headshot from Dep on Assassin did so much work. EXL were poised to strike. They wanted to dive, but as soon as Assassin took that headshot, they had to stop. He was not going to be able to dive in. While he was healing, CAG pushed in and took space.
Very good reaction to that particular situation, really taking advantage of the opportunity they created for themselves. It was only a half opportunity even, and now, oh no, never mind. I was going to say an opportunity to snowball, but no, Dep and Teo dying so quick on the counter dive, and a great read by EXL to go in and counter dive in such a way.
Such an important win for EXL as well. You can see now they're about to get that EMP. Had it gone the other way around, if CAG pushed them with momentum, took some kills on Yom1 dive, that would probably have been it. The EMP doesn't come in time, comes in a little bit too late, doesn't have enough members to take advantage of it. Suddenly, CAG get a tick, maybe 2 ticks, maybe they cap out, but EXL now stem the bleeding.
And this is so crucial also because you get to set up those health packs. You can get in that situation where you have that big EMP uptime. Speaking of, goes right in deep to try and take out Sabagod, sets up for Assassin to dive in, gets 3 for the Dragon Strike in response. Dragon v Dragon. Ultimately, though, that profits EXL more than it profits CAG, just because that fight happened so far from the point.
The thing is, CAG still want to go in on this. There is an opportunity where they can dive in, pick up some extra kills. Samuraida probably
overzealous.
Didn't want to be the only one going in, though. He had the Primal Rage, but the rest of CAG were not prepared to dive in with him, so that's one less ultimate for this next push. So right, overzealous, probably accurate in this context.
And that's the thing, we go back to this notion of even trades favor the defender, and I mean, that's for fights happening on the point. This is a different situation altogether, so Teo, hacked out. That's really rough. He's going to lose that 1v1. Nice catch by Yom1.
200 HP versus 100 HP and at a medium range. Yep, Yom1 will take it. What there you also see EXL cleaning up a bunch of extra kills. Assassin, that one death is not going to matter too much in the long run. He will come back in time. But killing Dep now, killing anybody else, getting the DMAC on Ken Mohoroa, this does hurt Cyclops Athlete Gaming.
Yeah, that's such a slowdown for CAG. That's the thing, EXL, look, even if they lose members, by the time the fight actually gets to the point, those members are going to respawn. It's just not even an issue.
The thing is, EMP's backup available, so is the Dragon Blade, and that was the winning combo before. That's with a counter Dragon Strike coming in through cleaning up 3 members. Well, we already talked about the fact that CG couldn't quite take advantage of it, just didn't have the numbers. So many ults now that EXL have to deal with.
Now Young1's just looking to get in deep with this EMP, keep trailing the team. They're going to start learning these tricks, though, out of Young1. But this time, I do foresee this being effective because there's the EMP, here's the Dragon Blade. A little bit trolled out by the moving platform there, but going to have no trouble after that getting onto the back line. Picks up 2, and in that time, the rest of his team picks up the rest. And CAG, again, that's such a low economy fight for EXL.
But that was a fight that CAG needed to lose, and the reason they need to lose that is because you have to bait the EMP out. You also have to get the Dragon Blade out. Both of those are not going to give you a lot of additional ult charge because the Dragon Blade gets the majority of the kills. Therefore, taking them off the table is important for CAG.
Now they've got an opportunity. At least somewhat. There's still so many ultimates to fight through on the side of EXL. Early loss at Claire. Super rough. The counter dive from EXL is just so devastating right now. The proactivity out of this team. Savagod committing this Transcendence. You almost wish in a way he hadn't because these are even trades. But again, let's not forget, say it with me folks at home, even trades favor the defender on assault. So EXL are going to be just fine here as CAG still trying to find a way to push in on this point. They're not actually finding on the point. They haven't even got a third yet.
The thing is, Cyclops Athletic Gaming are not pushed out just yet. They are able to keep their members alive, able to take down Young1 finally before the EMP is available. This might actually be the push.
The self-destruct in from Kenma Hororo, but Assassin! Three with the rocket barrage. More than enough. Just as it was turning sour, the first time CAG actually looked like they were getting somewhere on an attack, they get absolutely slam dunked.
First time as well that EXL finally get to blow a lot of ultimates. Finally, Cyclops Athletic Gaming get to come back at what is not a big deficit. Every other fight's been very difficult because EXL just have so much to work with.
Detected, but apparently not. Depp needs to not get hacked there. He's all right for now. Young1's just keeping on him for now.
Does get the EMP back, so this is going to be a very important EMP to play with. Claire going down is an issue. Can't res him back.
How many times is CAG just going to not even get a chance to actually have a fight? They're getting preempted every single time, and this is just the same thing again. And every time this happens, especially when EXL do it without ultimates, they get to charge up even more and put CAG at such a deficit.
This is the strength of the new Sombra, right? Why it's getting played, especially on maps like this. Why it's getting played on assault maps in particular. You can set up so easily. It's so hard to detect it. You don't know where the Sombra is going to come from. He's got infinite, or rather she has infinite invisibility. How are you supposed to stop this?
This is absolutely insane. I mean, 6.5 minutes now reduced to just 1.5. So much time gone, and CAG still not at any kind of advantage. Here it is again, the EMP out, looking for the follow-up now. This time, though, not as cleanly reacted to, but it's cleared down. Can't res yourself. They blow some back, though. It may just be enough kills on the side of EXL when you consider, again, fight's not actually happening on the point. CAG tried to sneak through a cap, but it's been reacted to. EXL have pulled back.
I'm going to say they didn't force out additional ultimates, but Malin does use that primal rage. That's something. That's one. They're going to get more than one, though. We were in a situation prior where Cyclops Athletic Gaming finally kind of neutralized that ultimate advantage that EXL had, but it's pretty much back already. Off the back of some well-placed EMPs, EXL right back into defense.
Young1 again is just haranguing these members. They have to play so carefully because they take a few too many shots and suddenly they just can't go in. They have to wait for the healing. Finally, CAG had the ultimates though, and finally they're actually making an approach on the point itself. Genma Hororo is in with the self-destruct, doesn't get any kills, but it's made some room for them to start actually playing some Overwatch. Oh, but Claire's dead! And he has that Valkyrie. Teo not getting much with the Dragon Blade. It's Depp who finds Assassin, and Genma Hororo plus the Rider finding those healers. This is big for them, even though they did lose some early members, even though they lose the mech now. Claire can rejoin the fight. Young1 dead with no EMP. Double to that Primal Rage. Finally a third coming through. Should be able to get a second one, and this is in the closing seconds of their attack.
And this is the final opportunity for Cyclops Athletic Gaming as well. The EMP from Young1 has to be huge. He has to save this defense or it could be all over.
The self-destruct from Gebushi wasn't enough to do it. Assassin as well has a rocket barrage. There it is. Oh, he slept. He only got one, but Depp is also down. And I think CAG haven't got enough. No, not remotely. They cannot muster a full fighting force. Never even got that chance. EXL absolutely keeping a lid on CAG start to finish. You thought CAG's defense was good? You don't know nothing.
And that's the difference, because what we did see from Cyclops Athlete Gaming was the fact that they couldn't get any progress to initially start with. Had there been 2 ticks into play, they would have finished the map. Even 1 tick into play from a previous push, they might have been really threatening to finish the map. But because EXL have the buffer to play with, they can afford to give away up to 2 ticks and still be able to defend. That's why they get to wait for respawners, wait for the EMP, wait for the barrage, and still win the defense.
This is now very, very rough. I mean, look, we have to revisit this notion. This is not unexpected. This is absolutely not unexpected. We were very clear from the get-go. EXL, they had the potential to force the full upset here. It's not quite completed yet, but they've made it to match point against CAG. 5-0 they may be, undefeated so far and in that first seed, but that doesn't mean anything if you can't actually win the quarterfinal. EXL have already shown they can beat table-topping teams. This is just kind of a revisiting of that same point of strength for them.
The other thing that's concerning is the first time you really see CAG truly struggle where they don't feel like they have a proper response. They don't know what to do against Yomo. They don't know what to do against these EMPs that keep cleaning them up time and time again. It's not like a team that kind of figures it out partway through, like, okay, well, we'll just play like this, bait it out of them, or play in such a way where we can punish the Sombra. It's just a continuous loss after loss after loss in terms of those fights. Finally, they get to touch the point, but it's far too late. It's their final push. They figured it out maybe far too late, and it's a very unfortunate thing for that team. If they get caught in that position again on an escort map, which will be map number 4, it's lights out.
I mean, compare and contrast to the series we just saw with Hong Kong Attitude versus Talon. When it was Talon pulling out that Sombra on the defense on Temple of Anubis, look, it worked a couple of times, but after a little while, Hong Kong Attitude figured out the tricks, right? Like, it stops working eventually, surely, but the fact that 6.5 minutes and CAG couldn't react to it, there's no two ways about it. That's a weakness, and it's a deserved loss on Volskaya. Now, they've got to try and turn it around on Rialto.
They certainly do, where you're probably not likely as much to see the Sombra come out, so they got that going for them. Also do want to include
wipe the sweat off the brow there, CAG.
Also do want to conclude that CAG themselves could have chosen to run a Sombra and had that counterintelligence, because what that would then give them is, well, you get to play an EMP as well. That's a good way to sort of shut down the opposing Sombra in fights. It's also a good way to have good fights to come in from. And I mean, the thing is, to beat a Sombra, you have to beat the rotation. You got to go in when the EMP is done, because usually there will not be an EMP every single fight. And I got to say, there was not an EMP every single fight, so there were opportunities, just unfortunately not realized in time for Cyclops Athlete Gaming. And that does mean match point for EXL, 2-1. And for CAG, Rialto has to be their final opportunity to bring it back, force that tiebreaker on map 5.
You are also just seeing smart play in general from EXL in the fights where that EMP was down. They were being very proactive. They were taking the fight to CAG because those are those most vulnerable points. And I mean, we saw it a number of times, right? Even if you do lose members in that situation, it's very unlikely that actually the team gets all the way to the point before it really costs you, especially if you've actually got kills in your own right. It's pretty safe to do that in that particular situation when you've got those very mobile heroes on your team. It's not the same for a different kind of team comp, but you can do it on that. So on the whole, I think that is why we saw EXL pick Volskaya. We said it was possible. We said it was the potential case as we went into that map, but we saw it in execution, and it was very good. Now the question is, does CAG have something of their own now that they've prepared for Rialto?
The thing I'm predicting here is I think Anakin's going to come back into play. Farah is a good pick on Rialto, and we know Anakin gets brought in specifically for that sometimes. And Depp onto the Widowmaker sounds like a pretty deadly combo. This is where you need to see the step up as well. Again, when things got really tough onto King's Road, Depp pulled out some crazy kills in the Widowmaker. We are into another very good Widowmaker map, which would probably speak to Cyclops Athlete Gaming's strength here. However, I am a little bit concerned about how they look when he can't play Widowmaker, when he's forced off that pick, when he has to go into something else. That's when you do see CAG a little bit onto the back foot, and in some cases very much so onto the back foot, so much so that they are dropping maps and they are in a position right now where they could be losing this. Anakin is indeed back on the roster.
You do also just worry about the fact that there's no second chances anymore for CAG. If they're going to make it further, it's got to be now. But you look at the win rates there, that is very, very telling. EXL have yet to get a win on Rialto, while CAG, 100% win rate across only 2, but it's still decent.
Well, those win rates could continue as well. Cyclops Athlete Gaming could make that a 3-0, 100% win rate. EXL could still not win one on Rialto. Things could change, but it's up to EXL and CAG here to make that difference.
Well, maybe it's up to Yum1 to make the difference as he out-snipes Depp. Not something we see every day. This does mean CAG have to respect EXL, have to give them some space while they wait for the respawn, but the payload has still made some decent progress forward.
It's nearly at the end of that choke point there. Yum1 again with the headshot into Depp, so great start from EXL so far, you got to say, but as long as Yum1 doesn't die here,
he's going to be just fine. And there's got to be the breaking point, right, where Def starts getting a few back. CAG having to go for some pretty long setups at this point. It's not safe for them to just barrel down the middle.
Difficulty now is infrasights available, which makes things difficult for Dep to be able to counter-snipe effectively. For EXL, they're starting to really get on top of this card right now, and for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, just forced off. Yom taking advantage of that infrasight.
Oh, that's so gross. I was going to say one of the few advantages for CAG is that Anakin has a rocket barrage while Assassin doesn't. But unfortunately, with Anakin dead, that difference doesn't matter. That being said, 2 picks in response now going down onto EXL. You can only res 1. CAG have a window.
There is the one that gives them the Graviton Surge as well, which means Zero just has to walk back the long way.
Float back.
And that window is going to rapidly be closing if CAG don't move in quickly. They have to be able to get these ultimates into effect.
Anakin's respecting at the moment. He stills himself for that rocket barrage. He's vulnerable to the likes of Yum1, and that's to say nothing of Assassin or Gabushi. Speaking of, there's the preemptive strike. They kill Sabagod in that, didn't actually use that Transcendence. CAG, I mean, they're banking up all these ultimates, but they're just letting EXL get them. They're letting EXL's ultimates get mileage. They're not actually responding.
The thing is, if you do use Transcendence, maybe you bait out that rocket barrage as well from Assassin. Maybe then Depp or Anakin gets a free shot onto Assassin. Start to find some ultimate, or rather player advantage in that regard. But for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, they died to just 1 Graviton Surge. They themselves are still waiting to really get their ultimates into play.
They look a little rattled, if nothing else. They look like they're not quite sure what to do in this macro game. They're kind of in Rocket Barrage chicken at this point. Don't want to commit their own, and Assassin knows that he doesn't need to commit his. But there's the grab out now from Kenma Hororo, and there's the Rocket Barrage to layer on top of it. The combo that they've been holding on to this entire time. Now that they've finally been able to pull it out, doesn't even matter that Anakin's gone down. They can just res him back if they desperately need, that they break that first choke point. They actually can still trickle out EXL here.
He does get res back into play, which means Cyclops Athlete Gaming maintain pressure onto that card, get themselves another kill. Zero is down as well. EXL have to consistently play 5v6 here at best.
And that's what's hurting them here. It means they might not even get a chance for this next point defense. Earth Shatter looks good and fancy, but Melon can't follow it up himself. He's just too vulnerable and goes down for it. You see Assassin, he can't get into a favorable position for that rocket barrage. And Samurai got so many in the middle of that. There was really no extra contest from EXL after that first choke got broken.
So we need to see Cyclops Athlete Gaming do very much what Hong Kong Attitude were able to do on their own attack for Rialto, which is to say they lost a lot of time onto A, but they need to get a lot of time back onto B. Getting these picks, staggering the EXL respawners is one way to do it.
I mean, man, sure, they struggled to break that first chokehold, but this is why CAG have an undefeated win rate right now on Rialto. It's how they're able to play those subsequent parts, getting that extra space, trickling out EXL, staggering them. They've got so much free distance off it.
So importantly, EXL will be able to get their full team back up available as the car moves into the archway. That means they can defend the choke point, and that's exactly where the defenders want to be.
That being said, it's CAG coming up closer to a lot of the key ultimates here. Assassin needs to get a rocket barrage. There it is. Kenma, Roto, and Anakin. Until Depp finally shoots him out of the sky, but too little too late. And Melon got 2 on the charge, so CAG full team wipe. That is a successful hold if I ever saw one.
And the defense is still available as well. If the card made it around the corner, really far past that choke point of the archway, then EXL kind of in trouble defensive positioning-wise. But Cyclops Athlete Gaming still have to play the choke arena. They still have to get these ults in somehow, and, well, the challenge is clear.
Gebushi's got his Graviton Surge. That means Kenma Hororo has to answer with his own. Res onto Depp. They need him in this fight, and that means no res for now. They don't have a good way to
nice
deal with
pick.
this if it hits them. But never mind.
Oh, what?
That's just not quite connecting, and Samurai goes down. CAG are at a bit of an upper hand here. That doesn't really seem to be doing much work. Got Kenma Hororo, but that's all it gets. And now there's a Graviton from Ken if he wants to commit it. They don't need to. EXL just kind of whiffed everything there.
Well, it's one whiffed ultimate for another whiffed ultimate. You'll trade an Earth Shatter for a bad Graviton Surge. And for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, they still have control of the card. Which means despite all the mishaps they had so far, they still get to push. They still get to ult.
That's an early Transcendence out of Zero. Not a bad one per se. But now there's nothing to really counter out this Graviton Surge from Ken Mahororo when he wants to commit it. But CAG are kind of struggling to get the angle in this fight that they want.
They're also struggling with time right now, and the damage from EXL is good. That is to say that there's 1 minute remaining. Even if Cyclops Athlete Gaming can cap, can they actually finish the map? It's looking unlikely.
They're having a hard time just pushing through the spam damage here. A few too many members are getting low at an inopportune time, but now they're finally getting in. And once again, it's the Grav Rocket Barrage combo. An expensive one, but it gets the payload moving again.
That's important. Melon down as well means nothing to really get in the way of Samurai himself with an Earth Shatter, so really need to see Melon get back into this fight.
Chloe with that Valkyrie going to get shot out of the sky by Depp as well. So again, this is where CAG can start staggering out EXL. And yeah, the shutdown as well on Assassin is just another part of that. They're happy to go 1-for-1 here. They've still got Claire who can still res. Can also kill Yum1 if he really wants, and there is that res. They do lose Sabagod, but it doesn't matter. They're going to get this cap over. It's just a matter of time. There it goes now, and EXL still staggered out.
1 minute 30 remaining, which means that for Cyclops Athlete Gaming to cap, they have to have an unstopped push. This entire card now has to go the entire distance without being stopped pretty much at all. We are more than likely to get into the overtime push for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, and they don't have very many attempts to get this over the line.
What CAG don't have, though, is ultimates. They've only got an Infrasight, and that's not a high-impact tool here. Going to pop it out now. If they can get picks, though, an ultimate advantage means nothing. There's one on Melon, yeah, as he tries to follow up on that grab. That's the danger of lowering the shield.
This guy gets a lot of stuff done with Infrasight, so, you know, as much as we say it's probably not a high-impact ultimate, if you're Depp, you can land the shots, it is just for you. And for Cyclops Athlete Gaming, it's allowed them to get another Graviton soon. It's allowed them to get this now Rocket Barrage. Melon's going to go on to this, the Breaking Ball as well. Be interesting to see what he can get out of it, because EXL are otherwise out except for Transcendence.
Yeah, I mean, EXL solo on ultimates, but they only have to win this one fight. That being said, so does CAG, and they're the ones with the tools. There's a grab, and Melon on the Wrecking Ball gets caught in it, counted out with the Transcendence, and a headshot into Amakin. They need to find a res angle on him. There it is, but by the time they get that, Depp's dead too. They only just start trading back now, and Amakin, nothing with the Rocket Barrage. It's just the regular rocket that'll do it. Melon's still getting the pressure on Samurai. They're topping him off. Just barely. Sabagod dying with that Transcendence is rough. He's a long way from back in. But Kenma Hororo and Samurai, these tanks holding down the fort. Amakin onto the Wrecking Ball so he can rejoin quickly. EXL are still losing members here. They only had, like, what, a minute as they cap this point out. CAG looking poised to cap it out altogether. Grab on the point. Sabagod still got a Transcendence, and they don't need it. They're going to get that cap in spectacular fashion in one hell of an overtime push. This is why they're undefeated on Rialto.
Even in the most unlikely of cases, they went to overtime so quickly as well. They had one attempt to get it over the line. And EXL tried so hard to stop them. Yom1 double headshot. So many members from CAG actually went down. And the respawn distance is so far compared to EXL-Esports, but still, they couldn't get any other picks outside of those two headshots. And for CAG, they kept flooding back in. They kept on getting kills. They kept on pushing the card, and they made it in the end, even in the overtime.
I mean, the two things to really compliment there is Samurai and Kenma Hororo keeping the fort on lockdown, keeping the kills coming as just those two tanks. It goes to show how good they are when they really pop off. But that wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for Claire. Claire staying alive in that situation, it kept Samurai alive when he was within an inch of death. And keeping him alive ended up paying off massively. I think if Claire had died, there was no hope there for CAG.
The other thing is, ultimates were coming up online, so keeping both the tanks alive, Kemohororo living on the Zarya, means you get another Graviton Surge. That was a game-winning Graviton Surge. That was a game-ending Graviton Surge. EXL, there was no way they could survive another big ultimate. And for CAG, just kept their legs in long enough to get these next ultimates, to get it across the line.
I think the one unfortunate thing, though, is CAG did only cap in overtime. They lost a lot of time and a lot of points of that defense. It looked harder than it should have been, I would say. They need to realistically do the same to EXL if they want to close this out in anything like a convincing fashion. Otherwise, we end up in that time bank. We end up in a more tenebrous situation.
I think the good news for CAG is they finished the map when they were unexpected to. And the reason for that is they lost a lot of time on A. They pushed into the overtime onto B. We're not expected to finish within 130, and they managed to do so. So probably going to be quite happy with that result nonetheless. Comes down to their own defense. Now, if they can really slow down this hate push, they will get the mileage.
That is a lot of ult charge for Samurai already, pushing 50% just with that initial fire strike. Absolutely phenomenal.
Ultimate fire sale.
Yeah, exactly. Low prices, low health bars. And that's really big because it means if they can keep him alive here, Samurai will pay them back with an early Earth Shatter. That'll be crucial for holding this choke point. They've already got kills. They don't even need the Earth Shatter.
Low health bars and the enemies have to go. So
they've all got to go.
Right now. Dep's finding kills onto the side as well. And this is already a very early stop up for EXL. First minute about to be gone. First ultimate's about to be online. That's a late death. And not one that you can res up as well. And that Earth Shatter we were banking on, that's come online.
We've got healers, we've got snipers, we've got tanks, and they've all got to go. And it's Dep, the sniper, getting picked off at the top of that one. That's a little unfortunate, but there's the Earth Shatter. Gets a little bit of mileage, but they have a hard time following it up with her assassin just harassing the back line. Melon, though, goes down, charges into a Zarya shield. And that's a big opening now for CAG. They've still got Anakin in this fight with a Rocket Barrage.
The Blade.
Losing Sabagod, though. Blade out, and they lose Kenmohororo. Anakin, if he's going to do it, he's got to do it now. And I think he's deciding not to. Deciding now who to res is Claire's going to pay for it with his life. Doesn't even res anyone.
So there is opportunity still. Cyclops Athlete Gaming can regroup in time for this final hold. They have some ultimates to play with. Just got to get that Grav into play. Sabagod as well. Transcendence, it might be enough. The bigger issue is Claire. They still wait for him.
Just looking for an angle in. They can actually muster another defense here. This is very crucial. Grab is already in on top of Samurai.
Oh.
There's the answer from Sabagod and Anakin around the back line with the Rocket Barrage. 1-2 punch combo. Transcendence to counter out the Grab and the Rocket Barrage to kill the members. Easy peasy.
So important for Cyclops Athlete Gaming as well. It's completely reset the momentum from EXL. Force them all the way back, fully reset, no ultimates to come into play outside of the infra sight from Yomon that's about to be up, but nothing game-changing. Everything that EXL had in the bag that was going to be game-changing has been used.
We said CAG, they needed a comparable defense. Well, can you call this comparable? I think you can. They don't have many tools in their own right. This is a naked fight. It's just down to the frags.
Foresight is available, so see if Yomon can make something happen here. But Dep on the other end, looking to do the same thing. Earth Shatter available for Samurai. That could be a big one.
Assassin's got a Dragon Blade, though, and that too could be a big one because they got the Nano Boost. Claire just down in one fell swoop. Kenmohororo as well. Doesn't last much longer, but the double trade back. Samurai going down, though, I think is the big swing point. Unless Anakin gets a lot of mileage, he's nearly dead. 4 health. Oh, no. There's the follow-up from Gebushi. Sabagod, if that had been a fraction of a second earlier, they could have maybe saved it in depth. I don't think he can really do the damage in this situation. They're at least keeping the point alive for a few moments longer. They're going to stall out more time. But actually starting to reinforce, they can still do this.
Samurai Anakin does come back with this Rocket Barrage rather instead.
Melon's down. They actually caught
no shield.
There it is. The barrage is in. Anakin does die to the dash, but Samurai back on the front line and the res back in. I don't believe it. Dep single-handedly stalling out the cart for those few extra seconds allows his team to reinforce, and it looks like they're going to complete the hold.
And they have more ultimates to play with 17 seconds remaining. One grab coming online for Gebushi, but guess what? Kemohororo's got one himself, and Assassin is down, and you have to wait for that. Melon now going to try and go onto the Wrecking Ball. This is their final opportunity.
Samurai has also got an Earth Shatter coming up. The early grab, the preemptive one from Ken Mahororo. Gebushi doesn't get anything close to it, not even able to touch the payload. And that's what happens when you're in those situations. No time left on the clock and a grab available. You go forward, you trap the team, you stop the movement, you stop them from contesting the cart, you stop them from getting the overtime, and ultimately you stop them short of even capping A. Again, 100% win rate, and now we go to a Game 5.
And that play of the game from Anakin right there, highlighting exactly where that defense really kicked into gear. They nearly lost it, pushed into that final section, into that final archway, and it just came down to Cyclops Athlete Gaming attempting to make that final defense count. They had a few ultimates to work with. One of them was the Rocket Barrage. Anakin was entirely uncounted for, comes in from behind, gets the cleanup onto the kills. Fast forward a little bit, talk about depth. Solo stalling the cart as a Widowmaker doesn't die, allows the rest of the members to come in from CAG, then the Rocket Barrage again from Anakin.
That was just phenomenal. I mean, I thought the attack was good. And we were talking about how they needed to get a comparable defense. I mean, I would even argue there were points where it felt like it was just about to slip through, but the fact that CAG held it together in the situations where EXL did not, that's the real difference maker here. And this is going to be an interesting Game 5. We return to Control, a map type that EXL won previously. You start to wonder if that could be the difference maker, but ultimately, let's be clear, this is the series that has absolutely delivered so far.
It's not going to be on Lijiang Tower anymore, which means there's no control center. We don't get that sort of run through where the GOAT's composition from EXL Triple Tank Triple Support is just super effective against everything that Cyclops Athlete Gaming want to run. The other issue here is for EXL, potentially if Ruins gets played, because I do believe it's Ilios, and Depp is kind of the better Widowmaker in this matchup. Yawan has had a few good shots in, but Depp has been a game changer. He's just been a huge playmaker, undoubtable. You can't doubt that. So, I mean, coming into Ruins, you expect CAG to be favored in that matchup, and then that's kind of almost a 1-0 in their favor, which means they just got to win either Well or Lighthouse, and the entire series is theirs.
And I believe it can potentially be Oasis as well. But what you end up in that situation is, well, run Anakin on Farah. You've got the tools. Yep. You need only steer clear of University.
Well, I hate to do this to you guys. It is a little bit of a tease. We thought we were going to go into map 5, and we still are, but it will happen after the break instead of right now, so don't go anywhere. Find out the conclusion between CAG versus EXL right after this. Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to Overwatch Contenders Pacific Season 2 Quarterfinals. This one is going the full distance, a map 5 in a best of 5. Cyclops Athlete Gaming versus EXL 2-2. It's been going 1-1 in terms of the maps. It's been EXL, well, you can see it for yourself. It's actually been EXL, then CAG, then EXL, then CAG again, going to map 5 now. A little bit of a twist. It's actually going to be Oasis.
And we don't know who it's going to be that wins it. Could be EXL, just kind of completing the 1-2-1-2. Could be CAG, get the 2 in the row. Either way, both teams have shown the capacity to win it. We were talking just before. I mean, you can argue that we go back to Control. The EXL won it last time. Maybe they're favored, but this is a bit of a different kettle of fish. We can still see that same GOAT situation, which I do believe is why Oasis has been picked over Ilios. But it's not the same as Lijiang Tower. And certainly EXL aren't as proficient on it in that regard as they are on Lijiang Tower. So I'm curious to see if they will have that same success.
So again, I'm expecting Anakin to stay in here for Cyclops Athlete Gaming just because there are certain maps here where you do really want to be playing that far. And it does come to mind that Gardens is one of those maps, and then going on to City Center, Depp can still play a Widowmaker. It is University, where I think there may be some struggle coming out of Cyclops Athlete Gaming unless we see some extremely good play out of a Hanzo or something like that. Or maybe Cyclops Athlete Gaming can run their own triple tank, triple support GOATs to really counter what EXL are going to do, because I'm pretty sure EXL are just going to play that, if they can help it.
That being said, CAG's GOATs, it's good. It's not as good as EXL's. They are just incredibly good at that team comp, even able to win in what should, by rights, be unfavorable situations. That is just how good they are.
Again, the stakes are very high for this. The winner goes to the semi-finals. The loser is eliminated from the season. They will get invited back to Season 3, but otherwise, their run is over for now. Gates are opening right now. Anakin's still in. Depp's going to start on the McCree.
And this is interesting, still hitting that hit scan. And this is with the slight buff to hit scan most recently, but EXL,
they're
sticking
fast.
goats. Yeah, fast indeed. Speedy Gonzalez around the side now. CAG going to have to go to the high ground instead. And EXL are just going to start chasing them down, trying to run them out for all them. Bumps Kenma Hororo off the edge. That's a huge blow to deal right at the top of the fight. And Samurai looking like he's going to follow his co-tank to the grave. CAG, they have lost this fight.
This is why EXL is such a good GOATS team. You see how quickly they move into territory. You see how quickly they identify targets, identify the enemy, and just get into brawl zone with them. And for Cyclops at the gaming, if they want to play stuff like McCree's and Hanzo's and now onto a Junkrat as well, they have to play for disengage. They have to dodge the brawl, continually poke until EXL cannot take any more damage, and then CAG can win.
I mean, this is university. This is where we anticipated GOATs out of EXL. You really can run it here to great effect. In fact, it's very good here. CAG still kind of reacting, recovering. They've got the spam damage, splash damage situation, but it needs space and it needs time to overcome GOATs. EXL staying proactive aren't going to let them have that.
It's very important that EXL, or rather very important for CAG, that they didn't lose members in the initial aggression from EXL, who themselves now have used their coalescence. One ultimate down, but 2 more left to go.
And again, they get on the attack as they come around the corner here. CAG find themselves head first to a hammer. It's 1 for 1 so far, but here's the tie from Depp. This should be big.
Oh, yeah.
It is big. That's the opening blow they've been needing. Also, were able to res Samurai, and now the grab as well. May have been a little unnecessary, but you'll take it to take the point. About 60% on it for EXL, but CAG rest control.
A collateral fire strike from Samurai there as well. Now, this is where it gets difficult for EXL because they're pushing into a lot of spam damage. It's not like EXL have point control, and they can aggress to Cyclops at the gaming as they rotate. It's EXL pushing into CAG, who have room to back up with and spam damage to work with.
And that's to say nothing of this rocket barrage in the pocket for Anakin, but Yom1 gets in the back. That's a decent Graviton Surge, and the rocket barrage only getting Assassin, mostly just against Melon's shield, as now the low members start to get picked off, taken down, finished off. Res on Anakin to keep things going, but EXL have the ultimates. They had the members as well. Anakin's going to pop Gable Shi though. CAG aren't out of this. Kenma Hororo staying alive to the last has just kept the rest of EXL at bay, and now CAG maybe get a round of respawns to come in.
Samurai is feeling a little bit alone right now, and so is Anakin. Both of them will go down. Depp is super late to the party. This is unfortunately going to be a 3rd death, and Depp also changed off of a Junkrat to do this, which means he loses any progress that he had. It's going to be EXL back with another cap, but CAG did get some progress in there.
And now back onto the Junkrat. You can see they
Starting
want
fresh.
that. Yeah, exactly. They want the spam damage, but they lose that Riptire that was so crucial in the first fight they were able to win. Now they're really lacking for time.
EXL positioning as well. They have ultimates. First shadow does get blocked.
Yeah, completely by Samurai's shields. And this is the opening of the fight, but not the one that EXL wanted. Gebushi out of the mech already and now dead as well. CAG had the ultimates coming up on rotation. EXL almost completely bone dry, save for the sound barrier, which is going to have to do a lot to rescue this team.
This is going to be a free grab as well, as long as Gable, she's still stuck in spawn, and that's why you can see right now members from EXL being caught by that. Depp's happy to collect those kills, but it is overtime.
Sabagod has that Transcendence still. Anakin is the Rocket Barrage. Depp coming up on a Riptire. They've preserved all the key ultimates, even though they had to commit 2 to win it. They get the point under their control, and again, CAG are actually looking decent here.
There's 2 big weapons available for CAG, and one of them needs to connect. Both of them miss. CAG are in a lot of trouble. They probably lose a tire and a barrage.
There's the tire. Let's see what it gets. Goes on to the back line. Little greedy, but he does connect with Chloe, and meanwhile, the rest of his team getting aggressive. This is where that spam damage just hurts the GOATs on the approach. And again, CAG charging their ults up, nearly back on a grab.
So this is where it's also important for CAG. They have a Transcendence to counter out the grab from Yom1. They also still have their other big weapon available, which is their barrage. If they can win with that, they go into overtime themselves. EXL do not have enough members to survive. That's all over.
Ooh, Samurai trying to get aggressive with that Earth Shatter instead. Little punish, but he charges Melon back. They win that one. And there we go with the Rocket Barrage.
Oh!
3 for Anakin. 99-99. And no members left for EXL now with Assassin down. Overtime going to tick down. And that is the one map. The one map where EXL's win on Lijiang Tower counted for something on Oasis. CAG taking that one back is a huge blow.
That's the one. Like you said, EXL were favored. They were so favored they had insane leads. CAG had to fight back tooth and nail for every single inch. And they got it. Now for the rest of the potential 2 maps on Oasis, and that's assuming EXL can take the city center here. CAG have a real shot at winning.
It's so massive. I mean, city center, you can again play a bit of a GOATS comp, but it's much less optimal than on University. And CAG already beat it on University. This is where EXL are their backs up against the wall. They have no more opportunities to lose. They could see that semi-final slip away through their fingers.
It's got to be
right
Tracer.
here.
Tracer from both sides. Nowhere to make it just yet. Anakin with the Sombra as well. Challenging Assassin will be very important. He's no slouch on the fire himself.
This is a bit of a change of pace here for indeed both of these teams. So, looking to possess that aerial space, that high ground, and you see it paying off. Trade back, though, is there on Yom 1. Alleviates some of the pressure. Now, as Assassin getting drilled down, he does kill Anakin, though. That's huge, and that means he gets out alive. And that also most likely means that EXL get the point here. Unless they can finish off Melon and Gable, CAG will just get muscled out here, especially now as they lose their own tank line.
They really need to be able to trade back Assassin to have a chance to get in on that game. He's probably the most difficult target for CAG to actually lock down. Losing Claire early was really, really bad as well. They did trade onto Yom 1, but I don't know if that's a worthwhile trade. The healing from the Mercy and the Resurrection is so valuable.
This is where you almost wish you'd seen Anakin sticking to that Pharah, but now with Assassin having charged up that Rocket Barrage, Anakin does make a change. It's to the Brigitte.
A fully reset ultimate here as well. No EMP going to come out to play. This is going to do a decent job of surviving some of these dives, shutting down Melee, shutting down Gay Bullshit, but still Assassin is the big target.
Now Yum 1's making a target.
Spotted!
Oh, stunned and done. Yum 1 regretting that one. Now it's all on Assassin to do the damage. They do get Anakin down in the dive. A lot of D's in my sentences right now. Kenma Harora gets to commit a self-destruct. Assassin needs to get out of line of sight, is able to do so.
Riz.
But while he's doing that, the rest of the team is just getting taken out on the point itself, and even committing the sound barrier I think would be a mistake. There's not enough members that it would actually be keeping in the fight. Actually, no, they can commit it now with Melon in and with the Primal Rage on him, plus kills going back the way of EXL. CAG so close to finishing it off, but not getting those last few kills.
Samurai to no Primal Rage there as well, so for CAG, as soon as they lose their main tank, everyone else is fair game, and for EXL now, getting into some other important ultimates, the EMP finally available. We know how deadly this has been. We're back to Volskaya all over again. CAG have a lot of trouble dealing with the Sombra. They don't know how to counter it yet. If the EMP hits big, it's all over for CAG for this next push.
This is a bit of a turnaround of pace altogether. This is not one we expected EXL to do too well on, but in all fairness, playing a completely different team composition, and one they're incredibly proficient on. We've seen CAG struggle against the Sombra as the EMP comes out and connects on the back line. Claire is in trouble. They can't block up that damage here. Anakin's down, though. Doesn't matter that Claire survived for long. He wasn't effective, wasn't able to do anything. EXL still very aggressive on the dive here.
Get the Primal Rage out as well, but the real issue is 98%, which means CAG just
he's
have to dive. They just got to go.
Kenma Haroro can't self-destruct. He was hacked as he flew in. Exceptional placement by Yom 1. He is absolutely carrying the team right now. Well, I don't even think that's fair to say, because the rest of the team is playing exceptionally well as well. CAG now, last gasp to keep this one alive on City Center. Less to be 100-0. Pulse Bomb out. No connection, but they do finish off Melon. Now they have a bit of an opportunity. They lose Samarida. Claire and Savagod low. Anakin trying to do the work. Claire is dead. Savagod dead. No top-offs anymore. And Kenma Haroro will not get a chance to remech. Anakin dead. Depth's the last one now. An EXL 100-0 shut out. We are going the full distance.
Yep. Every single map played, every single round played. This is absolutely insane from these two teams right now, and it ends on Garden. Somebody's got to take it now. I want everyone to cast their mind back to the 2017 Overwatch World Cup in Sydney. It was Team Japan versus Team Australia went down to map 5 Oasis. It went down to the final round of Oasis onto Gardens. And now this is Team Australia 2018. They're not in the World Cup just yet, but they are in the quarterfinals of their Contenders season. What they couldn't do back then, what they couldn't do last year, win against Australia when it counted on the Gardens, the final map of Oasis, map 5, they must do now or their season is over.
CAG getting a few flashbacks maybe, but saving graces, this is a different opponent. You've got to shake that rust off. You've got to leave that in the past. Clear your mind. Get ready to play on Gardens here and now. Youngwon's dead. They have figured it out. They have finally started to get a handle on this Sombra that has otherwise been so deadly. And now popping Gable Sheet as he comes out of the mech. Plus Anakin winning the dogfight. This is CAG on form as the point unlocks.
Yeah, getting a good lead is important for CAG right now, but EXL are not deterred. Youngwon's going to maintain pressure with the Sombra. And I want to make this clear as well. If CAG can win, then they can also beat the Sombra that's been plaguing them for this entire series.
And CAG, just that extra little bit of ultimate charge in the pocket, that can be the difference maker here. We need to see them get a nice, big, comfortable snowball. Oof. Assassin gets Sabagod, though. That's a spanner in the works. Can get res, but Assassin looking for other targets now. They've got Samurai on the dive, and still no res to come in anywhere from Claire. Maybe he wants to commit it now into Samurai. Catch onto Yonwon, not quite. Goes wide as Assassin pops Kenma Hororo's mech. CAG just kind of going belly up on that one. Rolling over. Where's the counter, Zabican? That's too late, buddy. Your team is already dead. And now they don't have that tool to take the point back because EXL are going to have control of it in just a few seconds.
The unfortunate thing is, much like how EXL lost that last fight, CAG lose this one by losing a couple members early. Sabagod goes down, Samurai goes down, and unfortunately for this team, they can't res everybody. They don't get one res and just no opportunity to do so, and EMP comes back into effect. Depth has to be very careful.
Does get spotted out though, Yon1. Assassin's down, trades one back though before he completely hits the ground. Sabagod, there we go, there's the opening. And Deb gets raised. Yon1 still spending too much time on the back line right now, and it's CAG winning it on the front one. EXL also committing ultimates. Gable Shi out of the picture.
This is late.
That is a big EMP, but it's a late one like you said. Sabagod does go down for it. Couldn't use a Transcendence Dep as well. But CAG still relatively have control of this fight. Losing Kenma Hororo though. Where can the res come in? Claire's looking for something. Abakin's over the edge. Are you joking? EXL, they'd lost the fight, but somehow get back in it.
Well, the rescue, they had the three-man dive in. Yon1 with Assassin with Melon. The three of them, it's enough. The damage is there. Assassin's into the sky. No one from CAG can shut him down. Dep's probably the only one that can shoot him, but it's not going to be the case. 57% CAG still have a lot of ultimates, and there is no EMP to deal with.
Oh no, that's one less ultimate right as the rocket barrage was coming in. They do at least take out Assassin, but the difference is he'll respawn back in with a rocket barrage. Anakin will not. CAG, even as they get the upper hand in the numbers, they start to get the ultimates out of EXL. They start to win the fight and get the cap. I don't know that it's quite an advantageous position for the subsequent fight, but at least they've stopped hemorrhaging point progress.
It's important now to note where Yon1's going to appear from. The EMP is nearly available. What CAG cannot bank on, what they cannot fall prey to, rather, is Yon1 getting a good angle, coming with the EMP, the rest of EXL engaging. CAG have to dive first. If they have to dive first, rather. If they wait to get dived on, they will lose.
And this is that EMP angle. Looking for Dep, looking for something, looking for anything. He finishes off Dep. Alleviates so much pressure from Assassin now, who can channel that rocket barrage just that little bit more safely. And that's to say nothing of catching Claire in the air. Kenma Hororo trades one back, but CAG losing members. And that's with EXL not even committing these extra deadly ultimates. Kenma Hororo throws that one up into the air, does not get anyone for it, will not remech. Samurai to Primal Rage, but there's no one else here, really, aside from Dep. They are getting work done though. They got Gabushi off, they pop Melon. Samurai finally goes down, but CAG have pushed out some more point progress.
Cap went over.
Yeah, the cap did, and that's the real stinger here for CAG. They have just a little bit more time though.
The problems don't end there because there's 4 ultimates available, 5 if you include the Valkyrie that just got used by EXL. That's Sound Barry and
Sabagod's dead already. Anakin finally coming up on a rocket barrage. Assassin's down, and he's got Chloe too. They've rescued it. Zerua, Dep, he gets Yon1. Look at all the kills coming through for CAG. It's 99% to EXL, but there's no one left. Even as Samurai goes down to that self-destruct. Claire is in. He could get something done here. 90% now.
One tank available for CAG and no respawners yet from EXL. They will get a primary.
They got Melon.
No, they won't. Melon's down. There's no EMP either.
I don't believe it. There's nothing left in the tank for EXL, and the dream dies here. CAG, the first Japanese team to make a playoffs, will also be the first Japanese team to make a semi-final. It's the last gasps of air from EXL. They finally get that primal rage from Melon, but he looks around at the fields of devastation as the rest of his team is corpses on the ground. He joins them, and the dream ends there for EXL, but for CAG, it continues.
And the curse is finally lifted. 1 year ago, we were at this stage. Team Japan could not do it. Team Australia beat them on Gardens in the final engagement. Now into 2018, it's a brand new year. It's a brand new Team Japan, and they will not allow that curse to continue. They will not allow this run to be over. Semi-finals is ahead of them, and maybe grand finals after that. Team Japan is here to stay. Team Japan is here to win.
We are not going to have an all-Korean semi-finals either. That was a possibility. Now, no more. We will get a Korean team in the finals, and it may just be CAG that gets to meet them there, and it may just be CAG that gets to beat them there. This is looking phenomenal. What a tough series for both of these teams. This was the one we said, don't mistake it. It's a first place versus a fourth place, but this is as even as that kind of matchup gets. It could totally go the way of EXL. You can't even call them an underdog, but CAG finishing it off, getting it through, finally achieving what no other Japanese team has done. And how far now will they go?
You see that Rucker Barrage coming from Anakin at the end there as well. Game changing from CAG exactly when they needed it. After that, Melon dies just before the Primal Rage comes up. Yeonwon's been oppressing them with EMPs, with Sombra hacks, with everything Sombra related for the entire series. It doesn't matter. No EMP at the end of the game. 95% before the cap finishes. What are you going to do as a Sombra then? Where's the rest of your team? EXL in a winning position. Unfortunately for them, they lose, but CAG, man, that was a nail-biter that they are more than happy to win. And every time in this entire season where we thought CAG looked like they might lose here, this could be it for CAG.
Yeah.
2-1 versus Incipients, number 16 in Group B. There's a 3-2 in there as well. There's only 1-4-0. CAG have bled along the way. They've been battered and bruised, but they have always won, and their undefeated streak will continue.
And that makes it feel just that much more deserved. It has not been without animosity that this team has now reached the heights that they have made it to. But there is still one more quarterfinal to go.
There is. Who will meet CAG in the semi-finals of Pacific Contenders Season 2? Is it Machi or is it AVRL? That will be our final quarterfinal to conclude this round of 8. So come back for that when we see you after the break. It'll be the last one. So see you soon.